Good evening, Legionnaires. This is Mr. here from the Burke Hares House of Horrors team. If you've not done it before, please like and subscribe. And tonight, I've just come back from seeing The Craft Legacy with Mr. Burke, and... wow. That was bad. And I mean wow. Here is a quick video of mine and Mr. Burke's exact reactions as soon as we walked out. This is this is Burke Hares House of Horrors.
Hello everyone.
We've just seen The Craft Legacy, and this is our quick recap video. There'll be more of an in-depth video coming very shortly, but this is our recap video for it now. It was wank.
It was rubbish, ladies and gentlemen. As a follow-up to one of the greatest cult films in horror history, The Craft, yeah, let's just say this one misses the mark.
I wouldn't say it was the greatest cult one, but I will say in this one, this was a very disappointing follow-up. It was style over substance. In fact, there was a lot of stuff that didn't really mix, and sadly, this is a film Mr. Hare and Mr. Burke here will not be recommending.
But I do recommend it in one aspect. It's a great MTV music video.
I don't think it's even that great. As you can see from our reaction video there, this movie went down like a lead balloon. And yes, as Mr. Burke points out there, it felt more like an MTV video. In the original Craft movie, there was rock and pop songs. One of the songs used in the movie would actually feature as the main theme for the series Charmed. But in this one, I didn't really feel like the music really gelled with the movie. The music and the pop songs they kind of used didn't really sell it. And there were many scenes and sequences where when they used it, it kind of took me out of that scene because it was like, wow, really? You using this? And what should have been really good sequences, with that song playing in the background, it just took it away from me. The story was pretty poor, sadly. The story itself just... there wasn't really much originality to it. If you've seen the first Craft movie, then you don't really need to watch this one, to be fair. There were many sequences, there were many scenes. The characters were all pretty much reminiscent of the first movie. It's pretty much, you know, a girl moves to a new school. She herself is a bit of a social outcast. She doesn't really fit in with anyone. And then she meets 3 other social outcasts. In this case, these 3 are witches who are looking for their fourth member to join their coven. And they kind of meet and bond, and yes, they do form their own coven, but really, there's not really much originality to it. There is a few minor changes, whereas in the first movie, as much as it was like an exploration of witchcraft, it was also like the exploration of consequences, where the characters, the more they used their power for themselves, and for selfish reasons, they faced the consequences in threefold. Like, say in the first movie, one of the characters, literally, she makes a guy fall in love with her who she loves, to the point where he's obsesses with her, and to the point where he tries to sexually assault her. But in this movie, they ignore that kind of rule. I don't really think any of the characters really faced any real consequences. But then again, it didn't really feel like a Craft movie, to be fair. Labelling this as a horror movie felt like a massive misjustice on the movie and a mislabel, and a misjustice to the horror genre in a whole. If this was kind of touted as a teen coming-of-age drama, it might have actually worked with it, involving witchcraft, but putting this as a horror movie, just... no, this was mismarketed, sorry. There were many things. The movie describes itself as woke, which, okay. They brought it into the modern age, yeah. It's kind of good to see a movie being brought more into modern, but the way it kind of did it felt a bit heavy-handed and a bit almost slightly obnoxious. There were many male figures in the movie that were kind of portrayed and represented as this toxic masculinity kind of image. Like this kind of, you know, the stereotypical arrogant jock. Where, actually, to be fair, I don't really think there was any male character in that movie that wasn't represented like that. There was one young boy, but even then he wasn't really presented very well. And it kind of made you think, go, okay, I suppose that's the angle they're trying to go for. The characters themselves, the four girls, or the four ladies who play the witches, they all did the best. I don't really think they kind of gelled as much as the original cast. Kaylee Spaney as Lily, she excelled in her role, despite having a poor script and clunky dialogue, but she did do her best generally. As I said, the script is... the dialogue's pretty clunky. There are many twists and turns, but all the twists that kind of you thought, oh, that would have been really good. You kind of knew it would come in. It was made obvious. Sadly, I wanted to like this movie a lot more than I did. My initial score for predictions before going into it was going to be a 6 out of 10, but now I've watched it, and after discussing with Mr. Burke, it is a 3.5 out of 10. I think, personally, if this movie, if we weren't in the circumstance we were right now in the world with the virus, I don't even think this would have had a cinematic release. This would have either gone straight onto streaming or something like that, but it just didn't hit the mark. And whether this was to try and invigorate the franchise to create sequels, or just as a one-off love letter to fans, it really failed miserably, because this movie was a bit of an insult to the fans of the original. It's a sequel that you didn't need, and the fans didn't deserve. And sadly, for that reason, this is a movie Burke Hares House of Horrors will not recommend to any budding horror fan, or to any fan of the craft. Viewer beware, you're in for a major disappointment. But you take care now, guys. As I said before, please like and subscribe. Stay spooky.